So the 2023-24 PSL season is slowly coming to an end, and what a fantastic season it's been. One of the big players this season has definitely been Stellenbosch FC, with the fantastic football that they've given, and they've already won a trophy, and they are second only to Mamelodi Sundowns in the league standings at this particular point. And the man who has engineered that success is Coach Steve Barker, and he has graciously agreed to welcome us here down in Stellenbosch at their training ground to talk to him about everything that has to do with him and the club this season. Coach Steve Barker, thank you so much for welcoming us, and welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Thank you, and welcome to our home.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So it's been a fantastic season, Coach. How did it come about?
Yeah, sometimes I ask the same question, but I think if you look deeper into it, the answer lies in, it's not an overnight success story. I think it's just real foundations, processes that have been laid over a number of years, starting back from our promotion year into the PSL. Through sound leadership, sound management, good structures in our development sort of process, building some really good young DDC players, smart recruitment in terms of keeping the squad, strong and healthy and competitive. A really strong staff. I believe that our staff are key to the success that we're having. Everybody is, in my opinion, of the best in their sort of departments in the league. So I think if you put all that together, those foundations, we're starting to reap the rewards.
And I said, Coach, you've had a fantastic season. But to put it into perspective for everyone at home, Stellenbosch FC have gotten to this point, I think, after 22 games that you've played, second behind Mamelodi Sundowns, only behind Mamelodi Sundowns, who have been fantastic for a few seasons now. So, in terms of the rest of the teams, Stellenbosch has been the best.
Yes, sometimes I think obviously Sundowns are just really currently the benchmark of South African football, not only in South Africa but on the continent. Really doing us proud. You could see even, majority of their players representing us at the AFCON and doing really well. So, well done to Sundowns. So for me at this stage, it was, can we win our league? And that's the one without Sundowns. So, I think eventually, that gap has to be closed at some stage. But right now, I think that, second, third, fourth positions on the log is up for grabs. With 8 games to go, we are on the driving seat, but I'm also mindful that, 8 games, 24 points, a lot can happen. It is crunch time in the league, so it's about us remaining and keeping our consistency, having the belief, and most of all, having desire to really push and see if we can't finish as high as possible in the league.
Could you have dreamed at the beginning of the season that you could possibly challenge a club like Mamelodi Sundowns? You'd be where you are at this particular juncture with less than 10 games to go.
Yes, I think exactly that. 2 seasons back we finished 4th in the league, and then we finished 6th in the league. So our big thing was to be consistent, to remain in those sort of positions as we continue to grow as a football club. So, to have been in the semi-final of the Nedbank last season, to have been in the semi-final of the MTN, having won the Carling Cup, being in second position, it is true. It's not something that I totally believed that we would be able to achieve this season. It is something obviously we're aspiring to do, but it's happened sooner than I expected. It's been a bit of a surreal sort of type of situation to see what we are doing and where we are. Looking at our unbeaten run currently, having played, 20 matches, unbeaten, 15 wins, 5 draws, 36 goals scored, 10 against, 11 clean sheets. I'm really proud of what the players are doing. A lot of it goes down to them themselves. They're just a really committed, unified, resilient group of players that I think, after winning the Carling Cup, I think has just given them that confidence and belief that we can do really special things this season.
the Carling it's a League Cup, basically. It's a League Cup, and you are still in another major competition, which is the FA Cup of South Africa, so to speak. You didn't win the MTN 8, but you won a major trophy. That says something about your abilities. Did you feel like finally you are at that moment where you can show something for your efforts in South African football over the years?
Yes, I think it's sort of that situation where you've been promoted. It's your 5th year in the PSL. You still sort of regard yourself as growing and maybe not seeing yourself as a big team or a team that can win things. So that mentality change and really I think it happened when we were knocked out in the semi-final of the Nedbank last season. I think that pain and getting so close to making a final, I think just drove us to, once we got into the semi-final of the Carling, was listen, we've been here before. We know the pain of not making a final, and we overcame that and got into the final. And then the message was, listen, we're in the final, we might as well now go for gold. Obviously it was a tough game, penalties that decided it, but we got over the line, having played all our games in that Carling Cup away from home. So it was a tough sort of way to win it. And then when that happened, I think it just everything just flowered and just really grew, and the belief, the confidence, knowing that hey, we actually can win things as a football club. And hopefully the Nedbank, we're in the quarterfinal, tough encounter on the weekend coming up, but we've got that experience now of handling these situations. So hopefully again we can step up on the weekend and get ourselves into another semi-final.
And did you feel at that point when you lifted that trophy that no matter what happens this season, you can finish 14th? That is the safe point of any club, to say, okay, we're finishing 14th, we're not going to the playoffs, and we don't get automatic relegation. Did you feel like even if I can finish 14th, I'm okay?
Yeah, look, I think one thing we've done well is I think our long-term planning and our sort of vision as a football club was in our 5th year of the PSL that we should be a consistently team finishing in the top 8. And we had written it down as sort of an objective or a target was to make a final within 5 years. Beginning of this season, after our last 2 seasons, having done well and consolidated, our objective for the season was if we could finish top 4 and get into a final, it would be a really great season. So not only getting into a final, but actually winning the final and being in the position we are. It's besides being a great season thus far, it's turning out that it could become a special season. So, but I want to reiterate that there's still a lot of work to be done in the league. But yeah, having won the trophy just turns the season. Whatever happens now going forward, I still think we can look back and be really proud of what we've achieved.
You've won one trophy this season, and there's still an opportunity to get another. But if I remember my history correctly, Coach, with Amatax, you actually got to a final of the Nedbank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it was a 2010-11 season with Tuks. We played Swallows at the Rand Stadium in the final. It was a fairy tale run. Great bunch of players we had then. People like Andile Jali, was with us, and Tokasizi Yende, Penyo Mogala. Really good, solid, young, enterprising team. Beating Chiefs, Celtic, Ajax in the 16 last 8 and semi-final to then play Swallows in the final. Unfortunately, the day just one hurdle too many for us, but I was really proud of that effort of that season. So been to a final, didn't win it, been to a semi-final, not making the final, last Nedbank. I'm hoping and trusting it's time to get into a final again, and this time we can hopefully go all the way.
You've shown you can go all the way, Coach. And he mentions beating Chiefs that season in the Nedbank. And I don't think it's a game that one Jimmy Tau would want to remember. If you're a Chiefs fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about, with Amatax and Penyo Mongala just taking Jimmy Tau to the cleaners on that particular day. So, Coach, beyond then, the 2023-24 season, going forward, You mentioned earlier that Sundowns has really done well. Do you think that it is time that Stellenbosch stepped up? Is it the club that can challenge Mamelodi Sundowns to knock them off their perch, so to speak? Do you dare to dream beyond the season to say you might just be the club to, humble Mamelodi Sundowns going forward?
Yeah, that's a big statement. But in saying that, I think, we're in the sport as an individual, as a team, as a football club, that we want to be competing and winning leagues. I mean, the ultimate thing for a football club is to actually win league titles. I believe that we're here to stay, we're here for the long term. Now, after this season, I think the next step is how do we start closing the gap? I think Sundowns have shown that they're just, ahead of everybody, but, I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't believe that we can challenge Sundowns in the near future. So in terms of that, it's just really, we're getting closer, and hopefully we can make an African spot, getting that experience playing on the continent, continued really good recruitment of the squad. I do believe that it's time that, we can start dreaming. I've always said long ago when we got promoted, I told my CEO, I see one day a headline saying from crushing grapes to crushing Africa. Everybody laughed at me. But yeah, who knows? We're getting closer, and it's important for us to keep growing. I believe every year you've got to be better off and on the field. And if we can keep getting better every year, then eventually we'll be challenging right at the top end of the table.
All right, Coach, hold it right there, because we're going to continue with this fantastic chat. We are still with Coach Steve Barker, one of the most remarkable coaches this season. He has orchestrated some performance from Stellenbosch FC, and he'll continue to tell us how he did it as we continue sitting down with Coach Steve Barker. Stay with us. This is Newzroom, Channel 405. Thank you so much for still sitting down with us here on Newzroom Afrika Channel 405. We're sitting down with Coach Steve Barker. He is the coach of Stellenbosch FC, and we have visited their home today to talk about the success that the club has had. Yes, the success. The season is not over yet, but they've already bagged a trophy. The Carling Cup is already in this building behind me here, and they are second only to Mamelodi Sundowns in the log standings. Let's continue our chat with the coach. So one of the things that people have said has been the difference at Mamelodi Sundowns. Some might say it's not that important. Some might say it is the catalyst. It's the deep pockets at Mamelodi Sundowns, and it's a known thing. But the belief is that the pockets are as deep at Stellenbosch FC, if not, then very close. Is that the case? And is that why you've been able to relatively match Mamelodi Sundowns this particular season?
Yeah, look, I think it's as as strategy, part of our strategy as a football club, our four pillars of, is uplifting the community. It's providing opportunity for young kids in the Greater Winelands region, as well as the Western Cape. It's becoming a trusted brand in South African football. And I believe that we're achieving all those strategic objectives without us having, to expand or go and, like you say, deep into the pockets. I think if we do our business correctly, which we are, I do believe that a lot of success can be achieved without having to resort to that way of getting success. I always use the saying that we don't buy success, we build success, and I believe that's the way we're doing it.
And somehow, Coach, you've lost players, you've lost really big players over the years, but you've managed to reproduce that. They've gone on to join the Gauteng teams, gone on to the Highveld. Your Ashley Dupliers, your Sibongiseni Mthethwa recently as well. You've lost some big players, but somehow the recruitment policy at the club has ensured that you stay at the same level that you are.
Yeah, it's never easy, but I am of the opinion that the success of a football club lies in its recruitment. I think our recruitment over the last years have been really of a high level. Finding players like Mthethwa, was playing for Black Leopards at the time in the sort of lower division. Some of the players we signed, from a couple of clubs that maybe got relegated. So that ability to find the sort of hidden gems that are out there, our recruitment, I think, has been really solid. So, and also I think you plan, and we have 3-year cycles that we plan ahead for, and every year, we relook at the next 3-year cycle, and sometimes you anticipate there is a possibility some players may, be courted or moving on or getting better opportunities, as Makanya did, going to MLS, and playing at that level. So sometimes if you plan ahead and you anticipate certain things can change, and you start planning well in advance, and it's not sort of panic sort of situations that you get yourself into, I do believe that one can continue to be competitive, just through real thorough preparation, planning, and our recruitment department has really been solid.
And when it comes to your players and how you've played, not only this season, but even since gaining promotion to the top league, do you feel your players have not been recognized as much as they could have in terms of representing the senior national team? A player like, for example, Ikram Reyners, he's been scoring goals. I know there was a dry spell at some point, but he's a proven goal scorer. Should he have long been in the national team? He's been included now, but it's after a long period of fans asking, why is Ikram Reyners not involved in the national team? Do you think your players deserved a lot more recognition than they did?
Yeah, look, I do believe sometimes, for a team that's still seen as a youngish team or an upcoming team, we have to do more and show the success that we're showing to get the recognition, I believe, not only as a club but as individuals deserve. And I keep on telling the players, guys, you keep doing well, you keep getting into finals, you win trophies, you do well in the league. Eventually you have to get noticed. I believe there's players in our squad. Devon Titus, a young player, scoring, assisting. It's his second season that he's doing it in a row now. For me, should be in big contention for young player of the season. Then you get, our two fullbacks, Fawaz Basadin, Dino van Rooyen, have been really solid over a number of seasons now. Ikram Reyners, as you say, if you just look at his record, goals per games played, he's probably one of the highest in the country, and that's not just one season, it's been over a long period of time. And I think player like Jaden Adams is now getting the recognition that he has shown, and got into the last Bafana squad. Players like Sishle and Dooley are, they're just really good players in their positions. So yeah, sometimes, you feel that you should have more players, especially in terms of the current success that we're having. If players are chosen on form, as the national coach has said, that, he'll select players that are playing and that are in form. And with that statement, I do believe that we should have more players in the squad.
And do you think, Coach, like going forward, it's a conversation? I mean, the coach, the national team coach, has long said he'd like to speak to PSL coaches, get a lot more insight into some of the clubs. Is it a case of having more conversations with him to say, look, you're welcome to our training ground and have a chat with me to say, this is a player that I think has really done well over the last few months and all of that? Is it a conversation that is not happening that should be happening between the national team coach and the PSL coaches?
I do believe so. I think ultimately we are football clubs trying to achieve success, but I think the bigger picture is, we need to support and we need to help the national team to be far better than what they are. Obviously, I think we've come off a really good AFCON, World Cup qualifiers coming up. I believe that, there should be a lot of synergy between the national coach and the PSL coaches. I, for one, am available at any stage to speak to the coach. Unfortunately, they came for a camp before they went to AFCON, and at the time I had to go do my CAF A license. So they were here for the week, and unfortunately I was away, which I think would have been a great opportunity to sit down with Coach Bruce and chatted a bit. So yeah, we're open to chat and to support and to help. Our facilities are here. They came here. They had a good training camp. So hopefully that door is always open. And if he's ever in Cape Town or Western Cape, we'd gladly host him to come visit us as a club and have some good conversations around current sort of players and maybe a couple of the youngsters that are starting to come through as well.
Has he ever made contact though?
Yeah, not directly with me, but I know he has tried to get the PSL coaches in a forum to discuss certain things. So yeah, I believe he has reached out to try and get that sort of conversation going. But yeah, from a personal level, I'm available 24/7.
One of the things that we know for sure is that come end of the season, Coach Steve Barker, Coach Rulana Mukwena are up for Coach of the Season. And I think you've got a big shout, Coach, to say Coach of the Season. If not for the entire season, definitely for the Carling, Coach of the tournament. Do you fancy your chances for Coach of the Season award?
No, I'm just humbled and thankful and grateful that I'm able to, be in a job for as long as I have at a club and help build it into the success that it has. The Coach of the Year is the DStv Premiership Coach of the Year. So if you take it on that, I mean, statistically and that what Sundowns are doing is incredible. I think they've only conceded 5 goals, unbeaten in their run thus far. Coach Roland is doing a fantastic job at the club. So yeah, just to be sort of discussed in that breath would be awesome for me. But yes, still a long way to go. 24 points. We need to keep things together and push till the end of the season.
But it is, mathematically, Sundowns hasn't won the league. As we wrap it up, Sundowns hasn't won the league, Coach. It still mathematically is possible. You still keep that faith.
Yes, I think until it's mathematically not possible, you got to believe, have trust, have faith, keep pushing, and look forward to playing Sundowns. Yeah, second last game of the season. Wouldn't that be great if it was the league decider? No, jokes aside, we just got to concentrate on our own sort of league campaign, win every game that we can, and see where it takes us come end of the season.
For us, the neutrals, it would be fantastic to have a 6-pointer as the second last game of the season. Coach Steve Barker, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for welcoming us to your training facilities this morning. And whatever happens this season, you have already achieved what many could only wish for. Well done. Thank you for giving us the great football that you've given us, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.